On location from Nassau, Bahamas, it's the SmallCapPower Expert Interview. Wondering where to place your money in 2016? We talked to Jason Donville, President and CEO of Donville Kent Asset Management, who gives us 3 major themes that he is focused on for the greatest investment opportunities.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show.
So tell us about your speech that you delivered yesterday and the quick summary of it.
Looking into 2016, I think there's really 3 major themes that investors need to be looking at, or certainly these are the themes that I'm looking at where I think the greatest opportunity is. And those themes are, number 1, healthcare, number 2, clean tech, and then number 3, the SaaS companies and the SaaS industry. So I think for people who are saying, where do I place my money in 2016, or if I have capital to redeploy, that's where I would be looking in those 3 areas. We're down here at this conference in Bahamas, and there's actually a lot of these really emerging SaaS companies that are just coming out of the chutes. Now, many of them are just kind of at break even, so it's a bit early, but what we like about software as a service is that you've got all the things that you like from high tech, right? You've got a certain amount of proprietary technology that allows you to have margin, but you get really sticky customer relationships, so it makes for a really wonderful model. So, we've had a great run with Constellation Software. We're not a seller of it, but what we're really looking for is the next Constellation Software or the next EngHouse or the next OpenText. So software as a service, we think, is a fabulous business model, and this conference here down in the Bahamas has done a really great job at showcasing a whole bunch of the ones that are just coming out of the starting gates.
Great. And why are those 3 areas something that you really think are poised to outperform?
Right. So first of all, in healthcare, as everybody who's been anywhere near a newspaper or television knows, with the whole Valiant saga, and not just Valiant though. If you're an investor in small cap stocks, it's affected every single company. There's been a huge correction in healthcare, and yet the earnings profiles of this sector are extremely high because demographics are still an important driver of growth, number 1, and because most of these companies have brands that allow them to have margin. So you've got growth plus margins, and that's a really powerful combination. And according to Dundee, the Toronto Stock Exchange trades on about 16 times 2016 earnings. The healthcare sector trades on 5.8 times. So this sell-off of healthcare stocks has been grossly overdone, and I think it's going to be a huge outperformer as far as next year goes. And not just at the Valiant level, which is a $25 billion company, but in terms of a lot of the people who pay attention to your programs in the smaller names like CRH Medical, which runs colonoscopy clinics, or Patient Home Monitoring, which does outsourcing, or Nobilis, which runs facilities in the Western United States. You can just keep going through them. The whole healthcare sector, most stocks are down 50%, and yet there's been no downgrade in their earnings profile. So I think that the healthcare sector in aggregate is going to perform extremely well in 2016.
Do you have any names that you can mention to our investor audience?
Yeah, so in the healthcare area, I think if you're quite risk adverse, then I think CRH Medical is the best. It's the safest bet. It's a high growth company, but like I say, it runs GI or colonoscopy clinics. So I think that's a Vancouver-based company, excellent valuation, great management team. So that would be a safe pick, but one that I think will do very well next year. If you want something that's a little bit more speculative, I think PHM, which is Patient Home Monitoring, is an interesting one because it's at 45 cents. I think the cash value of the company is like 65 cents, and just to the best of my knowledge, they're looking into a really good financial year coming up. So I think this is a stock that's at 45 cents. I think it's not a stretch to say this stock can go back to 90 cents in a year. It traded at $2 last year, and so to say it only goes back to 90 cents, and yet from where we are right now, that represents a double. So I think PHM is an exciting one, but once again, much more speculative. If you want the sure thing, stick with CRH. If you want something that's a bit more speculative, I think PHM is a good one.
And can you also mention to us some highlights of the clean tech sector?
It's just a fascinating area because, being in the tropics, I was recently in Hawaii, you realize how quickly solar panels and the solar industry are coming on. So I don't know exactly how it plays out on a positive side, but remember, as a hedge fund manager, I'm on the long short, and I would say that a lot of utility companies are going to be very vulnerable to, increasingly, to people going off-grid or looking at other alternatives. And so I think, for me, it's a big theme. I haven't figured out how to play it yet from the long side, but on the short side, for example, Hydro One, which is going public right now, may not be as exciting a company as it might seem, because I think that whole electricity grid thing is changing. So Hydro One would be a stock that I wouldn't be as interested in being involved with, because I think there's going to be very little growth for the utilities going forward, given how fast solar panel, how fast the price points on solar are coming down, how fast the improvements in battery technology are coming along. So don't have a lot of names there, but I think it's going to be a big theme. And people who watch me on various media, this is going to be an area that I'm going to be commenting on more and more as I see something to invest in.
And what kind of messages or stories are you most interested in at the conference?
When I'm looking at a company, I really want a company that has some kind of a protected moat. So if there's a mining company that's doing bauxite at the same price everybody else is doing bauxite, it doesn't interest me very much. But if you show somebody who says, hey, we have a competitive advantage because we have some kind of a proprietary technology or patent that allows us to lock in our margin, that's of a high degree of interest to me. I've seen all kinds of companies that are doing kind of microfinance stuff here that's really cool. So there's a lot of great ideas, but they're all really early stage. So to some extent, they're lottery tickets. So for me, what I want to do is I want to get to know the company and the idea, and maybe put a little bit of money in it right now, but 2, 4, 8 quarters down the road, really be able to back up the truck, having gotten up to speed on the company now and been able to follow their story.
Great. And lastly, from all your years of experience, what are the key advices you can give to maybe new investors or seasoned investors?
The key thing for people in investing in companies is you gotta, I think the competitive advantage is important. So, and when you're buying companies that are not profitable yet, it hasn't been ascertained that they actually have a competitive advantage yet, because they haven't been able to show profitable growth. So for me, don't back up the truck until you have a company where there's consistent profitability in place. Other than that, then see the rest of them as just lottery tickets. Don't put a lot of your money into stuff, and be very skeptical about the company that's going to be profitable next year, because most of them aren't going to be profitable next year, right? If they're not currently profitable, then go slow. Any company that you're visiting, say, I need to see at least a couple of quarters of true profitability. So I would say that would be my key area advice.
Great, very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Reporting from the President's Club Small Cap Conference, I'm Rachel Lee for SmallCapPower.
Be sure to see more conference interviews on smallcappower.com/videos.